So you're thinking about moving to Atlanta and you're wondering, is now a good time to buy? Is the market in free fall? Is it gonna crash? Is it gonna go up? Are rates gonna go up? I mean, what the hell should I do? Denny, Jeff, please tell me. And that's exactly what we're gonna do in this video. So we're gonna get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, working, playing,
drinking,
the good and the bad of living in Atlanta, Georgia, well then subscribe below and ring the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Atlanta, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today and when we release new videos. My name's Denny, this is Jeff. The team and I get calls each and every day from people just like you looking to make the move to Atlanta, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving next week, next year, or anytime in between, call, text, email, schedule a Zoom, and we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Atlanta. As I mentioned in this video, we're gonna be talking about the market. Is it gonna crash? Is now a good time to buy? What's going on with rates? All that stuff. It seems to be a very fluid and rapidly changing situation, excuse me. So we might want to do one of these videos like every week
and say this is how far down the river we are.
I'm not a really big fan of these like market update kind of videos because I think they can be boring and stale. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna like real talk, tell you like it is, not like the realtor trying to sell you something or the lender who wants you to make a decision. Like open-handedly, this is what's going on in the market, and help you make the right or best decision for you. Before we dive in, Jeff, where are we?
Oh man, we are in the best part of the world because we're here in Alpharetta at Pure Taquiera. We are enjoying an adult beverage.
Cheers.
We're having a great time. It is only 170 degrees outside and the humidity level is only at 160.
So if you happen to land in, well, I would say Alpharetta because this is the original Pure.
Yes.
But now they're in Woodstock, Duluth, a lot of the downtown areas. But if you want to come to the original, come to Alpharetta. Pure Taqueria is one of my favorites. I've been coming here since 2005.
Yep. Opened in 2005.
Which is when it opened.
This used to be an old gas station.
A gas station.
Yep. Pure Station. That's the actual sign over there.
And the guy that bought it got it for a song,
cheap.
Now he is making money hand over fist because I eat here with my family almost every day.
I wonder if you ever cook, because every time I run into you, you're eating with your family somewhere.
I don't. So I love the chicken fajitas. That is like that's my jam.
Man, I love this place because they got fresh food, and I'm weird about this, but for me, it's the chips. Because I can't stand going to places where they have the real thin chips and you can't get a lot of salsa.
You gotta get the
they got
salsa
these deep, chunky chips. You can scoop it out like a spoon, so it saves a lot of time.
So this wasn't meant to be a commercial for Pure.
But wow, it's a great place.
Now, enough about all this. Jeff, how long have you lived in Alpharetta?
We've been here 32 years.
32 years. How long have you been a realtor?
22.
22 of those 32 years. So new construction, resale. This man's an expert. He's seen every market that you can see. Have you ever seen one like this?
This is the most hyper seller's market I've ever been in. Last time it felt like this was 2005, 2006.
So I asked Jeff, he's my partner and one of our top producers on the team. I said, hey man, you've got more experience than me or anyone else on the team. Like, let's talk about what this market looks like and help our buyers make sense of it.
Right.
So if you have any follow-up questions we didn't talk about, like obviously reach out. You can drop them in the comments below. Maybe we'll make a follow-up video about one of your questions.
It's great.
And if you're getting any value whatsoever, just like smash the thumbs up so that we know that at least someone likes what we're doing. So with that, rates are on the rise.
Yep.
Fed just bumped it another
75 basis points yesterday.
Crazy. We can talk a little bit about how what the Fed does.
We need to talk about what that means.
Isn't directly. We're going to talk about rates. We're going to talk about prices. We're going to talk about days on market. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. But let's start there with rates because that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The Fed bumped it a quarter, then 50, and now 75 basis points.
Correct. We're up 150 basis points in the last 90 days.
And rates do move with that, but the Fed doesn't set your mortgage loan rate.
No.
So what the hell's that?
Okay, so it's really kind of this domino flips, and then suddenly 6 dominoes out, your mortgage rate goes up or down. For instance, mortgage rates over the weekend jumped a half a point in anticipation that the rate was going to go up 75.
I need you to understand what he just said. In anticipation of.
Correct.
So what frequently happens in the stock market, in the mortgage rates, in the real estate market, is back a long, long time ago, governing bodies would make a decision and the market would react.
Correct.
Today, what happens is the stock market, the mortgage interest rates, the real estate markets, they try to anticipate what will happen. The Fed or government policy, they kind of forecast what they're going to do. They let the cat out of the bag before they do it, and then the market reacts based on how they think they're going to react. And then once it's done, like that price is already baked in. So really, interest rates a week ago went up in anticipation of this.
Yeah, they bumped up in the gap from Friday to Monday. But the interesting thing is, we may actually see a 5 to 8 day pullback because they did good. The Fed did exactly what they said they were going to do. They said they were going to go up 75 basis. They did, and the market reacted well to it. They like the idea that they did what they said they were going to do. The cool thing about this is we also know the best indicator of the future is the past. And right now the Fed's saying they're going to go up another 75 in July, which means if you want to know what's going to happen with interest rates, assume that the week before their announcement, we're going to go up another half point.
So over the last 90 days, rates have gone up and pulled back, gone up and pulled back, gone up and pulled back. And so some people may be thinking like, well, now's a terrible time to buy because the cost of money is going up. So
which is true.
It's true that the cost of money is going up.
It's not true that it's not a good time to buy.
But what I've also seen in the same time is that we're now not getting 30 offers on one home.
That's correct.
Homes that are aggressively priced or overpriced are not selling in 2 days.
Correct. Denny, actually, if you go back and run the numbers over the last 8 years, 49 days on market is average for the Atlanta market.
So
for the last year, 6 days is average on market. So we've been way out of balance. Really, we're just moving back to a correct market.
Yeah, so post-COVID, it's just been weird.
It's been insane.
Everything's been weird. Rates were not historically low, rates were insanely low.
Correct. Literally.
Now they're historically low. Then they were Looney Tunes.
The government literally took the cost that they charge banks to borrow money down to zero. They were giving the banks money for free to make sure we could pump enough money in. So that's how we ended up with 2 7/8 on an interest rate.
My first loan, I bought a house, I think in 2005 or 6. I was in my mid-20s, and with perfect credit, I had a 6.5.
Yeah, I can beat that. My first home, we bought it in 1994, and my interest rate was 7 7/8. And a little old man that was a buddy of mine looked at me and said, "Boy, you stole that money."
You stole that money.
Stole that money at 7 7/8.
My parents, I was born in 78. My parents, who were born in the 50s, when they bought their first home, it was probably in the teens.
Right. Oh, same with my parents moved us to Georgia in 1978, same year, and I think my dad said his interest rate was like 14 something.
So I'm not saying that now's the best time ever in terms of interest rates, because we know they were in the 2s a year ago.
Sure.
But it's not by far the worst time from an interest rate perspective. So here's what else I think we're ultimately getting at. One of the homes that we featured on our Johns Creek tour was listed at $900. It was just reduced to $799.
So over a 10% drop.
$101,000. And so I'm probably gonna give away the moral to this story, and we're gonna keep talking about
That's
it.
all right. Tell them, and then we'll tell them why.
But rates and prices are correlated.
Correct. They're
reason-
always going to do this. They'll
Yeah.
eventually meet.
The reason that the Fed is raising rates is because prices were going crazy.
Right.
So when rates go up, prices soften.
That's correct.
Well, you either borrow more money at less rate or you borrow less money at more rate.
Say that again. I got lost.
You either borrow more money at less rate or you borrow less money at more rate.
That's correct. Yeah. That's exactly right.
So if you're looking for a reason not to buy a home, you can always find one.
That's exactly right.
And if you're looking for a reason to buy a home, you can always find one.
Right.
So the moral to the story, at least for me, is now a good time to buy? Well, it depends on your circumstances and your goals. A lot of people try to time the market. When's the best time to buy? I have no idea.
Correct.
Here's what I know. I know that I have tried to guess, predict, forecast, be a crystal ball.
Yeah.
I've tried to do that and I've been wrong every time. People way smarter than me have tried to guess. They've
Correct.
been wrong every time. What we know is what we know today.
Right. Well, so we should really talk about what's this going to be like over the next 6 months, because you probably have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen over the next 6 months.
Okay, what's going to happen over there?
Okay, so clearly the Fed is indicating that they are very, very invested in slowing down the inflation rate, which means they are going to raise the cost of acquiring money for banks, which means our cost is going to go up as the consumer. That's going to have a negative impact on the price of homes.
Right.
So the real question is, where is that crossing point that you're talking about sometime in the next 6 months, where houses that are overpriced
Come
in
down.
a market that's going down come down and crisscross with the interest rates that are going up.
Right.
So we always think of that sweet spot as being one place in time, but it's really a 6 to 8 month window, and
Right.
we're at the front end of that 6 month window right now.
Okay.
So rates are going to continue to go up, but probably only for the next 6 to 8 months, and then they're going to level off. In the same token, houses are going to flatten out and possibly pull back for probably an 8 to 10, maybe even a 12-month period.
Yep.
The thing to remember is you want to buy when it's down, not when it's up. I can't promise you when it's going to go up, but I can promise you when it's going to go down. And it's going to go down over the next 6 to 12 months. So sometime in that window, based on your budget and your needs, determines when it's a good time for you in the next 6 to 8 months to buy.
Here's the way I look at it. If you're flipping houses, and I've flipped a lot of them, as an investor, you're probably the only person that should be concerned about short-term prices, whether it comes to interest rates or home prices. Mm-hmm. For house flippers, it's less about interest rate because we're used to either paying cash or borrowing hard money, which, by the way, is 2 or 3, sometimes 4 points on the front end, and 12 to 15 points on the back end.
Right.
So we don't even know what 2.5 means.
It's not relevant.
No.
Because you're not holding that money for 30 years.
What we need is buy a house, renovate it, add value, sell it. And in a rising market, it makes even the worst investors look good.
Right.
In a falling market, it kills those investors.
It's very Darwinian.
Yes, because falling prices, you buy it, renovate it, and it's worth less than you spent, you lose money and you're out. But for an owner-occupant, for the 99.9% of people who are relocating across the country, who are downsizing because they're empty nesters, who are buying their first home, who are looking at this purchase not as a 6 month,
correct,
but a 6 year. Or
that's a really key number. Do you know why?
Why?
5 years. 5 years is the absolute break-even number, based on the worst case scenario. So in 2008, we had the giant financial meltdown. That was the last time that prices saw a really negative dive. some areas of the country, we lost over 10% of the value of homes. Here in North Atlanta, we lost anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5. That was 2008. By 2012, the entire Atlanta market had gotten back to the median price from 2007. 5 years.
Wow.
So if you, for instance, that you were talking about that first house that you bought with that horrible interest rate.
6.5%.
What'd you pay for that house?
Oh, 185.
What do you think it's worth today?
400.
I have the best story. My very first house was with the optional bonus loft, was 1,000 square feet. We paid $79,000 for it. I sold it a year later for $84, and I thought I was a genius. 6 months ago, I was in that same tiny little neighborhood showing houses, and the house that was smaller than mine, the 890 square foot house, $235,000.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, mine was one of those swanky loft conversions in Cabbagetown in Atlanta. You know,
Oh, that was the
transition.
heyday back then.
So it was like very industrial, cement floors, LVP, exposed ceilings.
It was old warehouse space.
Oh yeah, I was a 25-year-old. It was cool. Here's another cool thing. I bought it with an ARM, and when the market crashed, although the price went down, my payment vanished. Because the rate went from 6.5, it adjusted down to like 2. And I was like, oh, okay, so $84 a month, great. But anyway, our point is if it's not a 6-month decision for you, if you're relocating, if you're downsizing, if you're upsizing, if you're first-time home buyer, if you're the normal person 99.9% of the time, and you're not looking at this as a 6-month decision and it's going to be a 6-year. For me, I just bought a house in March. So rates were going up, prices were still not even remotely relenting.
There was no soft.
I paid more than I've ever paid him. I've paid more than all of his home purchases combined.
Together, literally, we added it up.
His entire life. And I know that if the market pulls back 10, 15, 50%, whatever it is, like, it doesn't matter to me.
Because you're not going anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere. Like, I literally looked at my wife and said, I might die in this house. Like, literally, I'm staying. Now.
Wait, did she say you might die or she might kill you?
One of those things. But I'm there for the long haul. So if the market pulls back, whatever. If the market goes up, whatever. Like, that's not what it's about for me. And so if you're trying to time the market perfectly because you're flipping a house, that's one thing. But if you're making a long-term decision, like 3 to 5 years out or more, then here's the decision you need to make. Do I want to rent something, which the interest rate on rent is
100%.
100% interest?
Because you don't get any of it back, ever.
You get nothing. Do you want to rent, or are you looking for security and stability? Are you looking for a good school zone?
Hedge against inflation.
Yeah, hedge against inflation. You know, a good place for your family to live. Proximity to where you're going to work, like what your lifestyle is going to be. If those are all the things you're thinking about, then we can definitely help you sort through like which suburb makes sense for you. You know, which school zone do you need to be in? What do you want your lifestyle to look like? What do you want your commute to look like? Like, if you're trying to figure out where the best place to put down roots.
What's your life look like, and we can help you find it.
But if you're like, hey Denny, can you change the interest rate for me? No.
Well,
can you change the price for me?
Actually, yeah. Because we do have clients, we have people who are calling us, and they're not like Denny. They're not planning on dying in this house.
That's true.
I'm moving to Atlanta, and Atlanta is notorious for being a stop in some people's career. So what about our clients who are looking and saying, well, yeah, I know the next place I'm going is Atlanta, but I'm not going to be there in 10 years. I'm probably going to be there less than 10 years because my trajectory is going up. And I think the next move after that's going to be New York.
Well,
how can we help them not have to take the murder on the interest rate?
Do tell.
Adjustable rate mortgages, which seem like a horrible idea, and most people will tell you an adjustable rate mortgage. And if you have questions about that, we maybe do another video on that.
Sure.
Sit down with the guys from EPM and talk about that. But if you know that you're only going to own property for a certain number of years, and the rate is lower because it's an adjustable rate and guaranteed for 10 years or 5 years, so it's a great option for you.
So what Jeff is saying is, if you'll think back about 2 minutes ago when I talked about my condo, I bought it with an ARM, an adjustable adjustable
Right,
rate
adjustable
mortgage.
rate mortgage.
And so I got a 6.5 to start with, but a few years later when the housing market crashed and the prices went down, well, my rate adjusted lower as well, so my payment actually went down. So even though I was underwater on the property, affordability got better.
Right. Now,
And so if I was leaving town, or if I was selling it, that would have been a problem. But instead, rented it out, had someone else pay the mortgage, held it for 10 years, sold it for the same price that I paid for it, which means I made no money, right?
no, it's just the opposite.
I put $30,000 in the bank.
And somebody else paid the rent for you.
Someone else paid the rent. And so there's always, as long as you have some creativity, a great exit strategy. What Jeff is talking about is whether prices go up or down. If you're going to be here for 2, 3, maybe 4 years, you might want to look at a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year ARM where the rate is locked in for that 3 or 5 or 10 years, and then after that it adjusts. So you can enjoy the lower rate now and then sell when you move, or keep it for rental, or refinance it. I mean, rates have gone up, significantly in the last 6 months. If the market softens, and we don't know, I'm not saying we have a crystal ball.
We have no idea for sure.
But if the market crashes, I'll tell you that the reason rates are going up is because inflation is high.
If the market crashes, rates will go the other way.
Rates go the other way, and then your ARM adjusts down, and then affordability gets better. And so this is why we say your circumstance, your goals are what determines whether or not it's a good time to buy. It is what it is today, and the market's going to do what it's going to do. Trying to time the market is never a good idea. It's more like how much time do you have in the market.
That's always the operative thought.
If I had kept a fraction of the homes I had flipped,
oh yeah,
we wouldn't be doing this
double or
video.
tripled your money.
We wouldn't be doing this video.
Well, I'd still
wouldn't-
be sitting there doing this video.
I wouldn't be around. So, I guess the moral to the story, to put a bow on this thing, is rates have gone up a little bit. Prices have softened a little bit. Rates and prices generally move in the opposite direction. But none of that matters. What really matters is like, what is your goals? Like, what's your circumstance? Are you relocating? Are you downsizing? Are you upsizing? Are you first-time home buyer? Like, which area do you want to live in? What lifestyle do you want to live in? What we need to figure out is, based on your budget, what you qualify for, and we have lender partners who can help you figure out exactly what you qualify for. And just because you qualify for a $1 million mortgage doesn't mean you should spend $1 million. Like, step 1 is what do you qualify for. Step 2 is what are you comfortable with.
Correct.
And step 3 is like, what can you afford for that budget? And then if that makes sense, you move forward. And if it doesn't make sense,
You don't.
you don't. I will tell you this. Most people think rent is a good idea because they don't have
Obligation.
the obligation to make the mortgage payment. Here's what I will tell you that is a challenge with rent. 1, they can change the rent every year.
Correct.
So you spend thousands of dollars on deposits, and you move and you get settled, and then the next year they raise your rent 5%. And then the next year they raise your rent 5%.
And suddenly your rent's not in your budget anymore.
Yeah, so what you think is like you have control over the price. No, you have budget risk
Correct.
is what you have.
Which you don't have with a mortgage.
No, because you lock it in.
Right.
But with rent, $2,000 can become $2,200, and then $2,450, and then $2,700
In 3 years.
In 3 or 4 years, you could be 50% more in rent.
That's correct.
And most people don't know that. The second is the landlord can throw you out anytime they want with a 30-day notice.
Yeah, and for our
I have done it begrudgingly to tenants for my investor clients where I had to tell them, I regretfully have to tell you that the owner of this home is going to sell it. You have 30 days to get out.
right. And what people don't understand, if you're coming from a large northeastern city, the concept of rent control doesn't exist in the Atlanta market. There are no controls, there are no guarantees.
Market rent.
Right. It's who will pay more than you will.
What's the market rent? So even in rentals right now, you might look at it and it says it's $2,500 a month. There might be 7 people that apply, and they just ask everybody who will pay the most.
I've had that twice this year.
Then you get into it, and the next year it's up 5%.
Correct.
And then up 5%.
And 5% is a conservative jump.
Oh yeah, or the market goes up like it did here, 15, 20%, and they
Right.
just look at you and they say, I know it was 2,000, you want to pay 3,000 or you want to get out?
Correct.
So it's not just all a walk in the park because you rent.
Yeah, and we can also help with that, where if you really want to have a frank discussion about does renting or does buying make sense, we can help you see your original mortgage payment might be here, but over the course of 5 years, your rent payment comes up and actually exceeds where your mortgage payment would have been. We can show you how that works. But again, it's about helping you make the best decision for you.
Here's how I like to explain it. When you buy, you pay principal that you borrow, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Correct.
PITI, P-I-T-I, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. When you rent, you pay principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and profit.
Correct.
Because the owner pays those 4 things and then whatever else they want to get from you.
Yeah, declare. You're paying that for somebody else. So you can pay it for you and make a profit, or you can pay it for somebody else and they can make a profit, like Denny did on his little $90,000 townhome.
All day long and twice on Sunday.
That's right.
So, with all that being said, you got anything else?
Just really want you to understand, when it comes to our team, the thing that we are most interested in is you. We do so many transactions a year. We have so much fun with all of our people. But we are so sincere about wanting to help you make the very best decision that you can. Denny and I and the other people on our team spend half our time talking people out of the wrong house. We're not here to put you in a house. We're here to help you have a home. We want you to love us 10 years, 20 years from now. So our whole goal is to try and make sure that you are thrilled with this process and that you're in the right home for the right budget, and you can put your head on your pillow every night and feel great about the purchase that you made.
Hey, listen, whether you're moving in a week, a year, anytime in between, call, text, email, schedule a Zoom. If you haven't already, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. If you have a question, comment, got value, smash the heart button and or the thumbs up button. And until we see you in person, we'll see you on the next episode.